Instant match reaction, there you go. Blackpool 3, Everton 3. Everton's first pre-season game of the 2020-2021 season ends in a draw after an absolutely horrendous first 15 to 20 minutes. Everton going 3-0 down. It was utterly embarrassing, wasn't it? Considering Carlo Ancelotti chose a starting 11, which had frequently been seen in the Premier League last season. Alex Iwobi, Gylfi Sigurdsson, Dominic Calvert-Lewin in there, Moise Kean. There was only really Jared Branthwaite, John Joe Kenny and Anthony Gordon who hadn't played, at least 10 or 15 Premier League games last season. Every other player in that start 11 today had played their fair share of Premier League games, and we just looked utterly embarrassing, didn't we? Every opportunity that Blackpool had on goal seemed to have went in. The first one was far too easy, went through Jordan Pickford's arms far too easy. It was poured by Mason Holgate, and then Blackpool just carried on coming at us, and it was utterly embarrassing. And okay, we got better as the game went on, and obviously we come back into the game. Really nice ball in by Gylfi Sigurdsson for Dominic Calvert-Lewin to rise. I think he heads it and it ends up coming off a Blackpool defender, and it's ultimately an own goal, and then we win a penalty a couple of minutes later. Dominic Calvert-Lewin goes down, a little bit of back and forth there, who should take it. Gylfi Sigurdsson takes it, fires it in, and then in the second half Gylfi Sigurdsson fires a free kick in to make it 3-3. It wasn't a great second half either, to be honest. It was quite boring. Nothing much happened other than that free kick, but yeah, there you go. It's just a matter of getting the fitness up, isn't it, really? Again, it was shocking, wasn't it? It was shocking. Should we be taking it too seriously? Should we be too down about it? One thing that's very clear coming out of that game today is that we desperately need 3 or 4, maybe even 5 players in this transfer window. Whether that's 5 players coming in on a permanent, whether that's 3 permanently and 2 loan deals, we need at least 4 or 5 players in this summer if we're going to, massively strengthen and get anywhere next season, because that was utterly atrocious today. If Carlo Ancelotti had started with some of the younger lads and would have been 3-0 down within 10 or 15 minutes, as I said, you know what, okay, it's some of the younger lads, they haven't got the experience there. It's the first game back, but that side played the Premier League game only 2 or 3 weeks ago and should have been more than good enough to keep their heads in the first 15 minutes and not concede 3 goals, but they did. Obviously we've seen a lot of changes in the game, as was to be expected. Jonas Lazer coming on in the second half, keeping a clean sheet as well. I think Jordan Pickford had a poor game, to be perfectly honest with you, and enough everything that was hitting and went in, and okay, he didn't have a massive amount to do after Blackpool's third goal, but let's be honest, he didn't cover himself in an awful lot of glory anyway. We've seen young Ellis Sims come on, and Kyle John towards the back end of the game as well. Didn't really get many opportunities on the ball. I would have liked to have seen Ellis Sims from the start, to be honest with you. I'd have liked to have seen Ellis Sims at least give him 45 minutes or so to see what he could actually do and to see what he could bring to the team, but it wasn't to be. But they come on within the last 5 or 10 minutes and done okay. Again, didn't really have an awful lot to do, but they done okay. Again, it's pretty much what we've seen last season, isn't it? Not enough opportunities going forward. The strikers feeding off not even scraps, just feeding off absolutely nothing whatsoever. Couple of good balls into the box, but nobody gambling on them. The defence struggled massively. I thought Mason Holgate struggled massively in that first half today. Jared Branthwaite done okay, but got caught out a couple of times. And then again, we just sort of slowly found our feet in the second half, got it back to 3-3, and you'll probably come out of it saying, so what, it's a pre-season friendly, but it wasn't the greatest watch, was it? I was really impressed with Lewis Gibson, young Lewis Gibson coming on, looked really calm, really collected on the ball. I tell you what, we've just come out of a month, 2-month long saga over a potential signing of a centre-half, and we're coming into the first pre-season game of the season, and okay, Mason Holgate hasn't had a great game, but we know they had a really good season last season. And the 2 young players, Jared Branthwaite and Lewis Gibson, looking like they've got a massive potential. And that performance by Lewis Gibson today, granted it was against League One opposition and he hasn't had any Premier League experience, but he looked a really top talent today, cool on the ball. He was demanding people, he was moving people about, he was, showing he knows where he needs to be on the pitch. Like I said, his passing range was decent as well. Niles Nkounkou coming on in the second half, done okay, got forward a couple of times, a couple of nice little passes. His touch on the ball could have been a little bit better, but he's a new signing, he's only just come into the football club, and realistically I think the goal for Niles Nkounkou this season was to be playing in the under-23s, and he's been pushed into the first team. Yannick Bolasie, Mo Besic, 2 players that we haven't seen in Everton shirts for a long time. Just done a bit, didn't he? Yannick Bolasie done okay, done a few fancy flicks down that side and never really anything amounted to it. Mo Besic gave a couple of awful balls away, but again, done all right in certain times as well. Listen, it's very, very clear. One thing I've taken out of that game today is it is absolutely evidently clear that we need to bring in at least 3 or 4 players this summer transfer window. And I think when we went 3-0 down, I think it became quite clear to Carlo Ancelotti and Marcel Brands that they need to do as much as they possibly can to get this Allen deal over the line now as a matter of urgency. And it's mad to say that because Gylfi Sigurdsson come out of today's game with 2 goals and 1 assist, an absolutely fantastic free kick to level it up, to be fair, and obviously he scored the penalty, got the assist for Dominic Calvert-Lewin's goal, but he still didn't look like he was doing enough for pretty much the entirety of the game. He still looked like he wasn't running around. He still looked like he was pointing, he was standing, he was giving instruction, but he wasn't doing enough. But he come out of it with, 2 goals and 1 assist and was involved in every goal today. So, it's a difficult one, but like I said, I think it's become evidently clear that we need to bring players in this transfer window. We were embarrassed utterly in that first 20 minutes, and yes, okay, we come back into the game, and yes, we levelled it up, and yes, it's all about fitness, and it's not as much about the result, but we can't go into the Premier League season with that side. We just simply can't. It's not good enough whatsoever. And again, it's the same sort of issues. Okay, it's on a smaller scale, but it's the same sort of issues. Defence making silly mistakes, midfield being non-existent. Tom Davies played 90 minutes again. How he played 90 minutes is beyond me. He was atrocious, and the forwards feeding off of very, very little. So listen, the only thing we can take out of it is that it's the first pre-season game done. We didn't lose. We come back. We showed a little bit of heart. We showed a little bit of character. We saw some of the young players in Konku, Lewis Gibson, Kyle Johns, Ellis Sims, who looked decent. We've seen the same players that weren't performing last season not performing again today. Gylfi Sigurdsson scored his first free kick in an Everton shirt, which, every cloud is positive, and we just have to look forward now. So hopefully, before we sit here and do another instant match reaction after the Blackburn game, hopefully we've brought in at least a couple of players. Hopefully Allen's an Everton player, maybe even Decore, maybe even a winger as well, to come in and bolster the attack, because I think it's all desperately needed. But there you go. Let me know your thoughts. Blackpool 3, Everton 3, away from home. First pre-season game of the season done. Ends in a draw after an embarrassing first 20 minutes for Everton Football Club. Let me know your thoughts. Leave a like if you've enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you soon.